A lot of you might not know that I'm an Apple nerd. I have tons of Apple gear and I love tech in general. I listen to tech podcasts and every once in a while they drift into my area of expertise. So when one of the hosts in one of the podcasts that I listened to talked about his heat pump issues, my ears perked up. In this video, we'll listen to what he's dealing with and I'll give my 2 cents, and hopefully they talk about it on one of their next episodes. So for some background, ATP stands for Accidental Tech Podcasts, and it's a tech podcast that focuses mostly on Apple news. And one of the hosts, his name is Marco, had issues with his 2 heat pumps. From what he described, he has 2 Mitsubishi heat pumps, one serving the bottom floor and the other one serving the top floor. And he recently had techs come out because both of his heat pumps stopped working. He said that they worked on it for about 4 hours and then it stopped putting out heat. Recently, they came back out to address his issues, and let's take a listen.
So I had at various times 3 or 4 different AC repair companies out here over the course of this spring and summer, trying to get them to just fix my stupid air conditioners already. And every single time somebody came out here, they would make a big sneak. Oh, they'd point to my Ecobee thermostats. Oh, it's the thermostats. It's these smart thermostats. They die all the time. It's always them. And I'm like, no, okay, I assure you, And I would go through and I'd show them my phone. Like, look, there is no energy saving setting on right now. Because and you can understand why. Like, they probably get a lot of service calls from people who install a Nest or something, and it goes into energy saving mode, and the people say my air conditioning is broken, and they call them out. So like, I understand why they would be sensitive to that, but literally everyone gave me so much crap about these thermostats, and it must be those. And then like they would call the manufacturer tech support, like as they're looking at stuff, and the manufacturer tech support would be like, it's the thermostats. And like, oh my God, they worked for 5 years. I guarantee you it's not the thermostats, but okay. And eventually I said, you know what? F it. I'm so tired of these people, being like this. Just put in the Mitsubishi thermostats. Like, I don't care. Like, it's fine. Give me a Wi-Fi thermostat from some other brand. I'll bridge it to home, whatever, if I have to. Fine. If that'll make you guys shut up and just work on my air conditioning ever, fine. So they did. So I got a repair person to finally put in the Mitsubishi thermostats. They've been in for a couple of weeks. We still don't have air conditioning.
So I can see a lot of contractors blaming third-party thermostats, especially when it comes to these heat pumps and these inverter compressors in these heat pumps. The reason being, heat pumps have inverter compressors, like I mentioned, and multiple thermistors throughout the system to measure refrigerant temperatures. Inverter compressors means that they can ramp up and down, right? So typically most older or some of the cheaper air conditioners and heat pumps have basically normal compressors that either turn on or off. So they're either 100% on or 100% off. These heat pumps have inverter compressors, which makes them more efficient. They're a lot quieter, so they ramp up and down, right? So just like how you would drive a car, to accelerate, you gently push down and push the accelerator until you're going as fast as you need to go. Like, no one would ever in their right mind to try to maintain a speed would be, pedal to the metal, let go, pedal to the metal, let go. That is an insane way to drive. And that's how air conditioners and heat pumps have been working for years. But now we have these inverter compressors that ramp up and down. Now, depending on the age of the heat pumps, like way back in the day when heat pumps, especially with these inverter compressors, were first introduced into the market, you needed the first party thermostat. So the one from Mitsubishi, the one from Carrier or whoever, to get those benefits of energy efficiency, the benefits of the inverter compressor. But nowadays, that's not the case. You can use any third-party thermostat and still get the benefits of energy efficiency and quiet operation with any third-party thermostat.
Okay, so there's also all this drama now that the refrigerant that our system uses is R410A. There's, every heat pump system has a refrigerant in it, and over time they find out, like, refrigerants tend to be pretty bad for the environment if they're vented into the atmosphere, and over time, we develop new ones that are less terrible for the environment. And then what happens eventually is usually states or the federal government will start restricting the old refrigerants from being used. And so if you have a system that uses the old refrigerant, you oftentimes after a while can't get it anymore, or can't get parts, or can't get it serviced anymore, or can't get it recharged if there's any slow leaks over time. So that has now happened in New York for the refrigerant I use, 410A.
In your 5-year-old system.
Yes.
Bad
My
luck,
5-year-old
bad timing.
system, you can no longer buy new ones, I think, as of around now or this year. And they're going to phase out the refrigerant over the next X years. And it's going to be harder and harder to get, and harder to get parts and replacements.
This is true of refrigerators, too, by the way. I know it's right in the name, but just FYI, this is definitely true of refrigerators.
Yeah. So the repair guy, he's like, if you want, you can like get some extra. There's 2 big outside condensers. He's like, you can get, or compressors, whatever. He's like, you can get 2 replacement ones and just like store them somewhere right now. Like they're about to go out of stock forever.
Put them with your keyboards.
Right. They're huge, and I'm like, okay, tell me a price. We'll talk about it.
Well, they're telling you to buy the entire unit, the whole big thing with the fan.
Yeah. To buy 2 extra ones to replace.
It's a hell of a thing to store in the salt air. Maybe you get a hermetically sealed box.
Right. And well, he recommended that I keep them like on Long Island. So like,
do not keep them by the seashore, because when you need them, you open it up and it'll just be a chunk of rust.
Yeah. But I'm like, okay, what are we talking here, numbers wise? And what we are talking about, if I wanted to keep a spare set of condensers, $27,000.
Oh, no, that's not surprising. But no.
What you do if these things ever go and you need to replace them is you buy the newer, more efficient ones that are available on the market now.
And so the problem is when you change the refrigerant on the outside units, chances are you probably also have to change the inside air handlers. And if you're really unlucky, you might even have to run new refrigerant pipelines from the outside things to the inside things. And so I asked him, I'm like, okay, in that scenario, what does that look like? And I don't even want to tell you the number he said. It was substantially higher. So I'm like, oh my God, what?
Did he get an explanation of why you would need new lines and inside units for refrigerant change?
Well, every pair of compressor and air handler, they have their own specs. Like, okay, well, you need this diameter of pipe, and you need it's like they're all designed for each other. They're designed to match each other.
I believe they're designed for it. It surprises me that the refrigerant changes would be such a radical change that you can't use the existing lines and inside units because the diameter is wrong or they can't handle the pressure or something. But presumably they know. But then again, they also said it was your thermostats.
All right. So what Marco is dealing with is what a lot of people are dealing with right now, is that he's correct. You cannot buy any new equipment that has 410A. I'm assuming the 2 systems on his house are less than 5 tons, so the deadline for that has passed. So everything has to be 454B or a new refrigerant. So yes, you cannot buy new equipment with 410A. You still can get existing parts to service existing equipment, and that's going to be the case for. I'm not too sure on the rules for that. But legally, manufacturers still have to keep parts to service existing equipment for a certain number of years, similar to the auto industry. Now, regarding the contractor trying to sell him extra condensers, 2 extra condensers to store, since you can't get new 410A equipment anymore, that is unbelievable. I guarantee that this contractor has a bunch of stock that he needs to unload. And the fact that he's trying to sell them for $27,000 just for the 2 outdoor units is absolutely effing insane. I work for a carrier manufacturer's rep. So we represent the Carrier brand here in California, and I have access to master list pricing for these systems. And this is not the price that the contractor will buy it at. They usually have some multiplier, or if you're like a Carrier dealer, you get better deals on equipment. And then of course they add their own markup, what have you, and then they have to add in their labor. That's all normal. But I can tell you that the master list price for, let's just assume Marco's house is, so I have a 3-ton system at my house. My house is, I don't know, 1,500 square feet. Let's just assume he's got 2 3-ton systems serving each floor of his house, which would make his house pretty friggin' big. Master list price for, so let's just say 410A, and I'm assuming it's a ducted fan coil on the inside of his house. So 1-to-1 ducted heat pump. List price is $6,755. So even if you multiply that by 2, that's what, over $13,000. That's list price. So the contractor's not getting it for that price. Then, and that includes the indoor units as well. That's not just the outdoor unit. That's for the entire system, is $6,700. And this contractor, I'll call him out, this sleazy contractor is just trying to unload his existing stock because he can't do it. He can't sell it after a certain date anymore. $27,000. That's absolute highway robbery.
I'm just, the next step is they're going to flush out the whole system and put in all new refrigerant of my apparently about to be illegal refrigerant. And I honestly think that will fix it. It's probably based on all the, research I've done.
What they should do, I mean, I'm assuming they will do this, but if they don't talk to them about it beforehand, is they should be able to measure the amount of refrigerant that was in the system when they quote unquote drain it, because as you noted, they shouldn't be just venting it to the atmosphere.
Yeah, they do.
And
yeah.
when when they do it on your car, they, refresh your air conditioner, your fridge or whatever. When they collect it, they know there should be X number of liters in the system or whatever.
Yes.
And we got X minus 50% out. So we know there's probably a leak somewhere, right? They should be able to tell when they extract the old refrigerant, hey, has this been leaking? Has this been leaking out of somewhere? And hopefully they would find where it was leaking before they refilled it with fresh refrigerant, because they're just going to keep leaking out or whatever. But I feel like if they don't do that, at least mention it before. And hey, you're going to measure it when you take it out. And maybe they don't know the intended volume of the system because it's not written somewhere and they don't know how long the lines are or something. But this would be a good thing to know if there is a refrigerant leak, because that's what you need to fix.
All right, concerning refrigerants, yes, John is right. You can't mix and match indoor units and outdoor units that use one refrigerant and the outdoor unit uses another. The properties of the refrigerants differ, and it just wouldn't work. Operating pressures are different, boiling points, and the characteristics of the refrigerants are different, so you wouldn't be able to just swap in replacements. We get that question all the time. And yes, depending on the refrigerant and depending on how far away your indoor unit is from your outdoor unit, the refrigerant line sizes might change. That is one of the biggest headaches in my job, is if the installing contractor thinks it's, I'll there's no room for this indoor unit, I'm just going to place it over here, and then not knowing that they changed the length from the outdoor to the indoor, and now potentially you have to rip those out because the refrigerant lines change, sizes change. And for those that care, the main reason for that is you want to get the refrigerant back into the compressor. So the refrigerant mixed in is an oil, a lubricant for the compressor, so that, it's basically like an car engine, where you have mechanical parts turning and grinding and rubbing up against each other. You need to have some sort of lubricant so that your compressor does not fail. And the refrigerant line sets have to be sized in a certain way to where the refrigerant can easily go to where it needs to go and come back. Most importantly, come back to the outside unit so that it can properly lubricate the compressor. And yeah, you can't just use an outdoor unit that uses one refrigerant and then use the indoor unit that uses a different refrigerant to make it help for nerds out there. It would be like compiling software for one CPU architecture and then trying to run it on another. It just won't work.
Now we can see the error codes. And what's great about error codes is that you can look them up on the internet. And so I've, of course, been seeing, okay, well, the upstairs reports one code, the downstairs reports a different code. Okay, so I searched both of those, and and upstairs and downstairs seem to be demonstrating very similar symptoms. And they have two different error codes. And they're two totally separate systems. And when you look at like the ChatGPT summary of what these error codes might mean or what might be causing them,
can you just look up the error codes in the manual for your device, please?
No, you can,
God.
but like, but the code is like, you know, suction sensor 1 or whatever. Like, you know, it's not like a, you know, a useful human thing. And but the explanation is like, why might that be happening? And the explanation, like, the only overlap between those two Venn diagrams of the explanations of those two codes is refrigerant issues.
I agree that just listening to all of this, it makes me think that there is a leak. Now, what are the chances of both systems having a leak at the same time or around the same time after his two systems got serviced by a contractor? That's pretty... Yeah, I don't know what the chances are for both of them having a leak, but just from hearing the symptoms, to me, there probably is a leak. So what John said, that you should be able to know what the total refrigerant is in, how much refrigerant is in the system. Yes, any good installing contractor, if they need to add additional refrigerant, they will write down somewhere where they will find it or another tech will find it in the future, the amount of refrigerant that came with the system and the on the outdoor or the outdoor unit will say how much refrigerant comes with the system, and they will add handwritten how much additional refrigerant they had to add and the total amount of refrigerant. So if they need to come back in the future, they'll know, okay, this system has whatever 6-8 pounds of refrigerant total in the system. So if they collect all the refrigerant and they see that it's less than what's written on the system, then yes, there is probably a leak. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it, which I would suggest to you, Marco, is just make a bottle, put it of a soapy solution, put it in a spray bottle, and then go outside and inside and spray this bubble solution to where your refrigerant pipes come into your outdoor unit. And then if you can get to your indoor unit where the pipes come into your indoor unit and where they go actually connect to the actual fan coil, spray some of this solution onto those parts of your air conditioning system, turn on the system, run it, and then see if there's any bubbles that pop up. That will tell you if there's a leak. And then that will solve all your problems. You just show the contractor, like, look, there's bubbles and it's leaking. I am surprised that if they didn't do this, I'm surprised that they didn't do this already. And you said that you had like 4 techs come out and they couldn't simple bubble test. Just spray it. And then if a bubble starts to show up, there's a leak. All right, final thoughts. Unless it's not coming through from Marco, I would be really friggin' pissed if contractors came out multiple times and they still weren't able to solve my problem. If I didn't have cooling or heating, or definitely right now, if I didn't have cooling during the summer and they came out multiple times, I would be absolutely livid that they can't solve the problem. I'd be willing to bet a lot of money that it's a refrigerant leak, and I hope that your issue gets resolved soon. But yeah, I would bet a lot of money that it's leaking refrigerant. I hope you enjoyed this video. I do mostly lunch and learn type presentations on stuff that's coming up in our HVAC industry. I recently posted a presentation where I did cover a lot of these refrigerant changes that are happening with the transition to A2L refrigerants. I'll leave a link up here. If you want to take a look at that video, please subscribe to my channel if you enjoy these types of videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.